what is the best travel motorcycle? I can finish this video for less than 5 seconds because the best travel motorcycle is the one that will help you to complete any trip successfully without any problems and with maximum efficiency. But I'm gonna tell you everything with more details. So if you have nothing to do, grab your favorite drink and stay with me. Welcome back. We're gonna talk about the best travel motorcycle, but let me tell you first what I do before every trip or just a simple ride to the town. I always check first the antifreeze and the oil levels. Thanks to the design of this Tenere, the coolant reservoir is visible here. So basically, if I shake the motorcycle like this, I can see that the level is fine. The same with the oil. I have this mirror here to check that the oil is on the proper position. I already checked the tire pressure rear and front, kept it on around 2 bars now at the moment because it's cold and wet. I also do a visual inspection around the motorcycle to make sure that everything is in good condition. Checking the clutch, brakes, they're fine. Rear as well. No physical damages, nothing that I can see right now. After I'm sure that everything is alright, I start the engine and leave it to idle for at least a minute to warm the engine a bit. Even though many will recommend to start the engine and run immediately, I don't think that it's a good idea. Give it at least a minute. As you can hear, the RPMs are going up, and after a minute they will drop a little bit, and then it's a good moment to start. I also play with the clutch a little bit like this, a little throttle, and after a minute I'm ready to go. And of course, when I start, I never twist the throttle before the engine got warm up, a normal temperature around 90 degrees. So I spend the first few minutes traveling slowly on the first, second, third gear just to warm it properly. Because of my location, I've got this natural 2 or 3 kilometers until I get to the road to warm the engine properly. Why I'm telling you all of this? Because all of this is very important for the longevity of your motorcycle or trouble-free rides, if I can say it this way. And many people ask me what exactly you do, what kind of maintenance you do to keep your motorcycle always in good condition. And I just told you, nothing so special. First and number one is to find a reliable machine on the first place. Because if you don't have a reliable machine, it doesn't matter how hard you're working on the maintenance, it is not going to be any different. It will be still a motorcycle that got problems. That's it, end of the conversation. It is also very important to be easy for you to do all of these checks. As I showed you, the coolant reservoir, the whole window level and stuff like that. Because on some motorcycles, for example, the coolant reservoir is hidden in such a difficult place you cannot really see what is inside. On some models like Kobe 450, they don't have a oil window, so you cannot check the oil. They also don't have an oil stick, so the only possible way to check the oil is to open the cap and put some kind of wooden stick inside, and you have to know exactly where the level is supposed to be. So this is not a maintenance easy motorcycle, if you understand what I mean. You can tell me right now, Paulian, why are you talking about these things when you promise to tell us what is the best travel motorcycle? Because guys, the best travel motorcycle is the one that you can service very easy. When you have access to your coolant, your oil checks, when you can do a basic maintenance or checks easily, just for a few minutes every single day before every ride. This will ensure that the motorcycle will be always in good condition. As I said, the best travel motorcycle actually is like a good friend who is always there for you to help you complete all of your goals. That's why it's so important to have this easy maintenance, because if you don't have it, you will probably skip some procedures here and there. Now, for example, I'm on the way to my friend and mechanic Plamen's garage to change the oil. It's not that I cannot change it at home, of course I can. But I don't have oil. I have to go to the town, buy some oils, and then come back to the garage to change it. That's why I prefer to go to his garage, change the oil immediately, and talk with the guys over there, have a lunch or something like that. And once again, because this procedure is very easy, it usually takes no more than 10 minutes. I don't need to book any appointments or anything in advance. Because the motorcycle is very simple, and this procedure could be done everywhere around the world, and I have done it many times in many places around the world, even on the street. It is the same with the oil filter and all the checks and adjustments that I have to do on the motorcycle while I travel. On the other hand, if you have some very complicated models that requires a lot of disassembling and special tools or stuff like that just to check the oils or to change the oils, to change the air filters, for example, many new adventure models got the air filters under the petrol tanks. But how many of you are able or will dare to remove the petrol tanks on a brand new motorcycles? Not many. That basically means that you have to do a special maintenance, or you have to go to a specific place if you like to do it. Some of you might say right now that to change the spark plugs on this is very complicated procedure, and it will be very difficult to be done on the road, and they will be right, absolutely, or to adjust the valves. But this procedure, it's not necessary to be done every 5 or 10,000 kilometers. It's more than enough to change the spark plugs once per 20, 30 or even 40,000 kilometers. So if I change the spark plugs before any trip, that it's no longer than 40,000 kilometers, I'll be perfectly fine. The valves need to be adjusted not before 80, 90, maybe 100,000 kilometers. I have now almost 90,000 kilometers and I still haven't checked it. Plumman checked his valves on 100,000 kilometers and they were in the specifications. And these are some of the important requirements that every travel motorcycle should have. Another one is to have a chain instead of drive shaft. Even though many will swear that the drive shaft is way better, you don't need to worry about anything, you don't need to loop the chain and stuff like that. It will last for thousands of kilometers and so on and so forth. And yes, they will be right. But in the case of technical problem with your drive shaft, you're stuck on the road. And if this happens somewhere outside of Europe, you will probably need to wait for spare parts at least 10 days, maybe 2 weeks. And finally, when you get the spare parts, you will need someone who knows how to fix them or to put them on your motorcycle, and this is not easy at all. On the other hand, if you have a chain, it will last even without any maintenance at least 20,000 kilometers. Now at the moment I have 525 chain, and with a minimum maintenance it lasts at least 30,000 kilometers. The chain that I used to go to Magadan and back lasted 36,000 kilometers, and for the whole period I used only 2 spray containers. That was everything that I have done. I never clean it, just spray it once per day or once per 2 days. That's it. So I don't understand why people worry so much about the chain. Chain and sprockets are not so expensive. So if you change it before every trip, it will cost you probably around 150, maybe with the labor 200 euros altogether, and you will be safe for the next at least 20,000 kilometers. If the trip is longer, you can always organize a new tire chain and sprockets on the road, and this is not a complicated procedure. You can do it by yourself, or if you cannot do it, you will easily find a garage that will do it. It doesn't matter what part of the world you are at the moment. With the drive shafts, it's not like that. Do I need all of these safety systems like ABS, traction control, cornering ABS, or whatever you can find on the new models today? Well, I understand that they might be useful in specific situations, but I also understand that it is not a problem for me to ride around the world with a simple motorcycle without even ABS. Now this Tenere have got the ABS, good, but I can easily turn it off from one physical button right here. So this helps me if I don't need it. On the other hand, if you have a model that got all of these so-called safety features, yeah, you will be safe maybe in many situations, but in the case of technical problem, man, what are you gonna do? You cannot fix anything on the road. It's a complicated procedure. Even a simple things like ride-by-wire could be a problem. That's why I'm not so happy now that they install it on the new Tenere 700. We're about to see, will it be good or not? Only the time will show us what is the situation. Another very popular debate is how big the engine is supposed to be. 300cc, 600, 800, 1000, 1002, 300. Well, I don't know, depends on the type of the trips that you plan. If you ride only around Europe on the highways with passenger, probably you'll need 1000cc. But if you ride on a very long trips on places where you might encounter some dirt roads or off-road, in my opinion, 600 or 700, it's more than enough what I have at the moment. And because I don't ride fast, even if I need to go on the highways, I never exceed speed than 120-30 kilometers per hour. For me, this engine size is perfect, but it all depends on that what exactly you need. Also, if you're very short and light rider, if you cannot touch the ground with a big and heavy adventure motorcycles, probably the engine size that you need will be around 300 cc. But again, you have to go to the basics. You need simplicity, easy to maintain motorcycle, a proper weight for you to be able to lift it in the case of problems, and all of the things that I already told you. And when we're talking about simplicity, many people will say that the carburetor is way better than fuel injection. Well, I cannot really agree on this topic, because it is true that the carburetor is very simple. And how many of you, I'm asking you now, all of you who are watching this video, how many of you are able to work on the carburetors, even though it's a simple procedure? I can guess that no more than 5%. The rest will have no idea what they have to do, and they will look the carburetor as some kind of space technology. So in my opinion, the fuel injectors are a better option, because the motorcycle will be way more efficient in terms of petrol consumption and everything. It will be free of maintenance, you don't need to worry about anything. And the only downside is that it might have a problem once in a while with a fuel pump or something like that. But I've got many Japanese motorcycles during my days, and I never had even single problem with the injection system or injection pump. So in my opinion, injection is way better. Another one question is single, 2 or more cylinders for the best travel motorcycle. Once again, depends on your needs. In my opinion, maybe 2 cylinders is better, because it will give you more longevity of the engine itself. It will be an engine with less vibrations, and maybe it's a little bit more power when you need it. On the other hand, the single cylinder will be much more easier to maintain. Spark plugs or anything that you need to do on the road will be easier, because the access will be just easy. But 2 cylinders will give you, as I said, all of these benefits, like more power, less vibrations and more comfort, even if you need to ride on the highways, because on the long trips you don't know what will be. You might plan to stay only on the small roads, but here and there you still need to take some detours or some highways, and when you have just single cylinder and not so powerful engine, will be a little bit difficult. That's why in my opinion, 2 cylinders and at least 50 horsepower. Another important moment that not many discuss is that the motorcycle should be affordable. Affordable to buy, affordable to maintain, affordable to own. Because if you buy a motorcycle that is too expensive, you won't risk to ride it in specific parts of the world, because it is just a big investment that you would like to keep and eventually get it back when you sell it. It is true that the best adventure or the best travel motorcycle is the one that you have in the garage, but it is also true that if you follow my advice, you will put in the garage exactly what you need, and you don't need to worry about anything else. That's everything that I planned for today. If you find this video useful, press like or dislike, whatever it deserves. See you in the next video. Ciao.